I'm Dr. John Dabach, and I answer your relationship questions. Let's get right into the email. Dear John, my husband told me he's not attracted to me anymore because I've let myself go. After having our kids, he says he still loves me and wants to stay married, but he also said he doesn't want to force himself to be physical with me. I feel humiliated and angry, but part of me wonders if he's just being honest. How do you respond when the truth feels cruel? Amanda in Scottsdale, Arizona. Amanda, I'm going to start exactly where you need someone to start. Your husband may be telling a version of the truth, but the way he's delivering it makes him a complete jackass. And I'm not saying that to be cute or provocative. I'm saying it because there's a massive difference between honesty and carelessness. And right now, he's hiding behind "I'm just being honest" as an excuse to avoid taking responsibility for how he shows up as a partner, because real honesty in a marriage is not just about saying what you feel, it's about saying it in a way that protects the dignity of the person you supposedly love. And he failed the test badly, very badly. Now let's slow this down a little bit so you don't swing in the other extreme and start questioning your entire worth based on what he said, because that's where this kind of comment can do real damage. When someone you trust tells you they're not attracted to you, your brain doesn't just hear a preference. It hears rejection, inadequacy, sometimes humiliation, loss, especially after having kids when your body has already gone through a massive amount of changes. When your time, energy, and identity have shifted, when you likely, put yourself last for years trying to hold your family together. So, of course, you feel angry and maybe even humiliated. That reaction makes complete sense. But here's where I want to ground you a little bit. His attraction is real, but it's not the full measure of your value. And it's not fixed. And it's definitely not independent of how he has shown up in the relationship, because attraction in a long-term marriage is not just about physical appearance. It's about emotional connection. It's about effort, energy, polarity, playfulness, for crying out loud, appreciation, all the things that make someone feel alive and seen. And when a man reduces it to "you let yourself go," what he's really saying is, "I'm not willing to examine my role and why this part of our relationship has faded and completely disappeared." And that's lazy. It's immature. And yeah, it makes him a jackass in this moment. Now let's talk about the part that's harder to sit with, because I'm not here to just bash him and leave you stuck. There may be a truth underneath what he's saying, and you already feel that, which is why this hurts so much. But because part of you is wondering, is there something I've neglected? Is there a part of myself I've abandoned? It's a fair question, but you have to ask it in a way that empowers you, not in a way that shames you. God forbid. That's horrible. There's a big difference between "I've let myself go and I'm not worthy of desire" and "I'd been stretched thin by life and I haven't had the space or support to take care of myself the way I want to." Those are two completely different narratives. One crushes you, the other gives you a path forward. So before you even respond to him, I want you to get clear on your own relationship with yourself, not for him, for you. Do you feel good in your body? Do you feel connected to yourself as a woman, not just a mother? Do you feel like you've had the time, energy, and support to invest in yourself, or have you been in survival mode for years? Because if it's the latter, then his comment is not just insensitive, it's deeply unfair. He's criticizing the outcome without acknowledging the conditions that created it, and that's a problem. Now let's address how you respond, because this is where most people will probably either shut down, or maybe they'll explode, or they'll bend themselves, twist themselves into some kind of a pretzel, right? Something they're not. And none of those options can actually help you in any way. You don't respond by accepting his framing, and you don't respond by attacking him back in a way that just escalates things. That would be a big mistake. You respond by setting the tone for what kind of conversation this is going to be. And that starts with calling out the impact of what he said, not just the the content. What does that sound like? It sounds like this: "I can handle honesty, but the way you said it was hurtful and maybe a little disrespectful, and it made me feel humiliated. If we're going to talk about attraction, we're going to do it in a way that doesn't tear me down." That immediately shifts the conversation From am I attractive or not to how do we talk to each other about hard things? That matters. Because if you don't set that boundary, he's going to keep communicating this way. Now, once that's established, you move into a more grounded conversation about what's actually going on. And this is where you take back some power. Instead of sitting there feeling judged, you get curious, not passive, but engaged. You ask him what attraction means to him now. We're not the same every year, okay? We change, we evolve. So you ask what's changed for him, what he misses, what he's feeling, and you listen, not to agree, but to understand the full picture, because right now you've been given a blunt, hurtful headline without any depth. And you need more than that to decide how you want to respond. And here's where I'm going to push him again. Even though he's not sitting here, attraction, it's not a spectator sport. He doesn't get to sit back, evaluate, and decide how he feels like he's reviewing a product. He's part of the dynamic. His energy, his effort, his presence, his ability to create connection, to create desire, all of that plays a role. So if he's saying he's not attracted, the conversation also needs to include, well, what are you doing to create attraction in this relationship? Because if the answer is nothing, then he's not just being honest, he's being passive and entitled, and that's not how marriages thrive. Now let's come back to you for a second, because you still have a choice in how to move forward, and I want to be very clear about this. You don't change your body or yourself out of fear of losing him. That path leads to resentment. It leads to insecurity, not connection. But you also don't ignore yourself. If there are parts of you that you genuinely want to reconnect with, if you want to feel stronger, more energized, more confident, more in touch with your femininity, you pursue that because it matters to you, not because he demanded it. And ironically, that's often what actually shifts attraction, not compliance, but self-reconnection. Because confidence, energy, self-respect are incredibly attractive, and they can't be faked. Now, here's the deeper layer that I don't want you to miss. What he said didn't just hurt because of the words. It hurt because it made you feel like you're no longer chosen. And that's a much bigger emotional hit. Because in a marriage, we want to feel like our partner sees us, desires us, chooses us, even as life changes us. So part of what you need from him is not just a critique. You need reassurance, appreciation, effort. And if he's not willing to provide that, then again, we're looking at a bigger issue than just attraction. We're looking at how he shows up as a partner. So here's your bottom line. You don't dismiss what he said, but you also don't accept it as a verdict on your worth. You hold him accountable for how he communicated. You open a deeper conversation about what's actually going on, and you reconnect with yourself in a way that feels authentic and sustainable. And then you watch what he does, not just what he says. Does he step up? Does he engage? Does he take responsibility for his role? Does he start treating you with the care and respect that actually builds attraction? Or does he stay in this passive, critical, crappy position? Because that will tell you everything you need to know about the future of this dynamic. And one last thing I want to leave you with. Honesty without empathy is not strength. It's immaturity. And you deserve both truth and care in your marriage, not one at the expense of the other. If you have a question you want me to answer, there are directions in the description below on how to submit it for my team and me to consider it for the show. And don't forget, like and subscribe.